So this is lined up here, and this is lined up correctly here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this drum back out. Which I probably could leave it in, to be honest, but it shouldn't really matter. We'll lift this up. And actually I'm forgetting a piece, because what I need to do is I need to attach this to this side. Actually I should attach the other side. And the reason I'm going to attach it to the other side is, let's move this over here, space here, this is the other side, and this goes on right like this. There's little dowel pins that it locks into. There's a screw that goes in from this side, and that screw is kind of annoying to put in with the other side in here. So I'm going to put that screw in now and roll it to this side, and then when I lift this piece up, and, well, I'm not going to put it on top, but I'm going to stand both of these up, and when I put these together, the screws on this piece come in from this side, so they're much easier to put in when it's together than that screw is. So let me locate that screw, and then we can continue. Alright, so that screw is in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand this up. You can see I've also installed this piece here. I'm going to also take this piece, and I'm going to pop it in, should be right there, because that, you can't get that in once the sides are together, so I'm going to just put that in ahead of time. I believe that's the right hole, we'll find out in a minute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand this up, and hopefully we can get this all in frame. And we should be able to just slide these together. This is not going to be easy to film because something's always going to, you've got to like look at the back and look at the front and then see what's not lining up. Right now, nothing's lining up. This is basically the idea. Let's see, what are we hitting on here? This has to go to the back. This has to come up and in. Well, something not right here. I wonder if my drum is not, that's all the way in. Let's try this once again. See what we are hitting on here. So this piece, this shaft has to go into a hole on this side. Right now I'm hitting on that gear. So I've got one shaft in the back that's in. That shaft is almost in. I'm going to be able to do this on video, just going to be fighting with it for a while. I think something is tilted or something. These are not lining up properly. This shaft will not line up. It's probably because it has to mesh with that gear. So that gear on the side has to mesh with this shaft before it will go in. Let me turn it this way and see if that makes it any easier. So this has to mesh with going to mesh with this for some reason. It has to mesh with that. It's not cooperating. So this will go into there like that, that's fine. This should mesh with that gear, and it's not. So let me see if I can figure out why that's fighting with me. Alright, so I think this is a little bit different than the Marchant KE I worked on last, because it turns out that this gear here, the last gear on this side, actually goes slightly on top of that gear like that. So when this is bolted in, you can't get this in. So I'm going to put this in first, like that, and then put this in, and screw it down. And then just means that we'll have to line up this end of the shaft with the other side of the case, which should be fine. There's something that I didn't realize initially, that I had to go behind there like that. Just tighten this back down. Okay, and now let's try this again. Sure we are still timed correctly. I think that we are. Maybe we are not. These don't quite line up now, but we'll see. I think that should be okay. So now let's try standing this up again. We'll try standing this up again. We'll see if I can get this in frame. Should be able to. So you need multiple things to line up. There's a shaft in the back that has to line up. There's this shaft which has to line up. And there's this piece that has to line up. So that's lined up. This should go all the way forward. So that'll stick out the side. That should keep it in place. This has to line up. That lines up. That lines up. Now should be together. So I'm going to do now is just put one screw in this side to help hold it together somewhat. At least I think I will. It's not lining up for some reason. It should go in there. I have to pause for a minute while I fight this screw into place. Just want to keep this together so it doesn't go flying apart while we work on the next piece. Alright, so that's in. That's together. And you see this moves freely. And what we need to do now is we need to time this tooth piece with the drum. So, right, that's why I leave the drum loose like this, so I can actually like wiggle it back and forth and unmesh it from this gear. So right now it's unmeshed, so I'm going to turn this gear so that this is pointing not quite straight down, but just out a little bit. So you can kind of see the angle of it right there. It's just pointing just towards the front a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is see if I can get this to mesh without rotating it too much. Something like that. And now I should be able to slide this in. Let me apply a bit of oil here. This should slide right in, and we need to get this lined up so that the taper pin hole is straight up and down. Okay, so now, theoretically, if we did this right, we should be able to line this pin up with one of the counter positions, and if we turn this around, it counts. So we know that there's clearance on that. We're going to have to try all of these. Make sure that there's clearance for this tooth to pass the drum. Ooh, hitting something there. Oh, I just didn't have this in the right position. It was hitting on one of these carry posts. That one works. Let's try this one, make sure we get it lined up exactly. Now the alignment, that one is sticking. Yep, okay, so that, see, right now the tooth is pointed into the drum, and it's not going to pass it. See if I can turn it backwards here, maybe not. Let me... Let's turn it backwards a little bit there. So that particular drum needs some filing yet. There should be a nice witness one on it now, so I know which one to file. We'll try this one. Nope, that one. Looks like it's going to need some work yet, I think. Yeah. That one needs some work. Let's try this one. That one's good. I'll try this last one here. Oh, it's really stiff. Oh, probably because it was pushing that spring-loaded 10s carry D10 thing. That's why it was so stiff. So we didn't try the first one, did we? Let's make this work. Let's try. We try number 3. Let's try number 3. 3 is good. We'll try number 2. 2 is good, and we'll try number 1. I'm not lined up right, I don't think. Alright, so 2 of these yet needs some more filing, but overall not bad. So what I'm going to do now is going to take this all back apart again to get that drum out and file those 2 remaining ones that seem to have an issue. And I'm going to put it all back together again and try it once more. And once that all works out, then we have to test that all the carriers are going to work. And for that I'll probably have to put the crank back on because it's going to need some more force than I'm going to be able to do just by grabbing this gear and turning it. But so far not terrible. Just have 2 more of these to clean up. And that's usually the way it goes with these machines. It's a lot of, once you take it apart, you file it, then put it back together, try it out, it doesn't work, take it apart again, file it some more. And it's just, by the time you're done, you're basically an expert at how this mechanism works and how it comes apart and goes together. And so far that's the most efficient way that I've seen. See, now this moved over too far, so it's not hitting that tooth. It has to be positioned exactly right. And that positioning is done by this arrow hook piece, which hooks on here and will point to the position. And then that is controlled by this rack with a long piece on it. That goes through here and screws into the bottom of that hook. And then as the carriage moves back and forth, there's a gear that moves this back and forth and properly aligns that tooth based on the carriage position. So, alright, I'm going to take this back apart, see if I can get that working, and we'll pick up from there.